All right. So, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Hammer Podcast. Today is December 12th, 2020, and I'm speaking with Gabe, or Gabriel, whichever you want to be called. Gabe. Is that fine?
Yeah, Gabe works.
All right. That'll work. And, of course, we have a special guest, James Griffey. James, thank you for everything you're doing for the podcast. I appreciate it, man.
For sure,
Really do.
dude.
Really
Thank
do.
you, dude.
Yes.
It's honestly like I would have nowhere to send these guys that want to tell their stories if you weren't doing your podcast, man. So it like everyone's so grateful all the work you're doing with it. Like
Hits right in the heart, man. Thank you.
yeah. I'm texting this guy like Gabe. I'm texting this guy like early in the morning.
Yeah.
Hey, I got another guy that wants to be on late at night, and like he's always answering me, get back to me, and it's it's awesome. So
Yeah, usually on
appreciate it.
the weekdays, since I got to be up at 4:30 in the morning, I usually go to bed about 9:30 or 10 o'clock. But on the weekends, 3 o'clock in the morning. But anyway, I want to give a big shout out also to Colton Schrog. He's got the TikTok exposing. What is it? Exposing Agape? Is that what it's called? Or
Yeah, I think it's exposing Agape Boys Ranch.
okay,
think
all
so,
right,
yeah.
yes. And he gave a big shout out to the Hammer Podcast on that as well. Thank you, Colton. Appreciate it. And of course to Jay Frazier. He's been working, getting the guys on here too as well. So
Yeah.
thanks to everybody who's helped. Really appreciate it. And Amanda Householder too for letting Colton take that TikTok. So
Yeah.
because Circle of Hope's done, it's buried.
Yeah.
So time to go on to the next monster. So all right. Well, Gabe, go ahead and start from the beginning and tell us your story. Oh, before you do though, let's hear that one story you were talking about there. The song.
Oh yeah. So when I was at Agape, yeah. So there's this guy named Leo, and not every morning, but like every once in a while, he would just like find really dumb ways to like wake everybody up. And so he decided that like there was the duck song that came out, and it was like, the duck walks up to the lemonade stand, and he decided that was going to be an awesome way to wake everybody up. So he started blasting that song, and then just went around like kicking everybody's bed and waking everybody up to the duck song and singing it in like the most unfortunate voice you'll ever hear.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wait, so waking you up? Well, I guess maybe we can get into it, but I'm curious because like when I was there, it was lights on, and when within a few seconds of the lights being on, you had to be out of bed, at attention at the end of your bed. Like, is it different when you were there? Like, wake up.
So they would have like, I want to say they had like the students with more like leadership roles. They would like group leaders, I guess. They would go kind of like start to get some people up before the lights went on. And then like whenever the lights went on, then you were like, yeah, you're up and at attention at the end of your bed, Well, I mean, first you would like do your sheets and everything, and then you'd be at attention and everything.
so Gabe.
So
Oh,
it's crazy.
I was gonna say. So what got sent? Why did you get sent there? For one thing, what did you do what did you do that was so terrible? And what years were you there?
Yeah, so I guess I'll start off. I was there in 2017, and I was only there for 4 months.
That's 4 months too much. Go ahead.
Yeah, but I saw a lot of stuff when I was there, and I'll get into that later. But
Okay.
so what led to me going there was I just went through a phase in my life where I was really like, I was 15, and I would go like up and down, like emotionally, like I was really volatile. Like I would be depressed and like not eat for days and that kind of stuff. And then I would just like, my parents would come and like talk me off a ledge, and I would just lash out, and like I like punched holes in walls and stuff. And I remember kind of the final breaking point was I shattered like a car windshield, their car windshield actually, while they were in it. And then so that happened, and then like after that I ran and like sent a suicide note and like grabbed a knife. And so the police took me to like a mental hospital, and I spent like a week there. And then my relationship with my parents was just rough after that. Um, so I went to like a long-term, like outpatient, like I was really depressed to work on just some mental health stuff. And while I was there, my parents didn't really know what to do. I had been homeschooled up to that point, but I had really wanted to go to public school was kind of part of the issue. And then after that, I was at this outpatient or at this like inpatient, like month-long program. And my parents were like, well, we're going to send you to this boys ranch in like southern Missouri. And I was like, this was another school, but I was like, there's no way. I was like, no. And so then like I heard about that and I ran from the place and I ran home, which was like about 18 miles. Yeah. And I did that overnight. And then my parents just like drove me back and were like, we're holding you here. And then they set a date to take me to this ranch. And then whenever that day came, I just took off running again and ended up at my grandparents' house because they just didn't know what to do. And from there, I'd been there a couple of days and the transporters came and just took me to Agape just in the middle of the night.
Transporters.
Yeah.
Just like woke you up and said, hey, you're coming with us type thing. And did you resist, try running again, or you just went with them?
No. So I just, they just came in like 6 a.m. ish, just get to the end of the bed. We're putting you in handcuffs. We're taking you. I didn't know where. And like, yeah. So I did what they said. I never really resisted. Like I asked them like what would happen if I resisted, but I never really did. I wasn't really a fighter. I mean, I would run away and stuff, but I was never. I mean, I was maybe a little aggressive with like my parents' stuff, but never like I wasn't gonna hurt somebody kind of thing.
Gotcha.
And so yeah, basically we just drove. I'm from St. Louis actually, so yeah, so we drove down to Stockton. I didn't know where we were going, which was kind of crazy. I was just in a car.
Have you ever heard of a place called Festus, Missouri?
Oh yeah, that's not far. Yeah.
I heard that's a shithole.
Yeah, it's not great. No.
I just thought throw it in there because anyway, I'll tell you guys later.
Yeah.
Hey, so it's like a 4-hour drive, isn't it, from St. Louis to Stockton, roughly?
Yeah, so I was like an hour outside of St. Louis. My grandparents are kind of, they're like out west a little bit. But so it was like 3.5-ish around. Yeah. So then I would say I got there like 9 a.m. And like I still had no clue what was going on. Like I was in my pajamas and everything. Like just not a good, like they had grabbed like flip-flops for me to wear kind of thing. Like, yeah. And so I showed up at Agape and like the first thing I did was they handcuffed me to one of the drivers who had taken me. So like I wouldn't try to run while they were taking me in.
Yeah.
Because like I guess my parents had probably told them like I'm a runaway threat. Like I'd done it twice before. So yeah, and then they walked me in and they finally, once we got into the intake room, they took off the handcuffs. But yeah, so then we just started the whole intake process.
They shave your head?
Oh, so yeah. So in the intake room, my intake was really rough, I would say, like compared to most of the stories. When they told me that they were going to shave my hair and they got out the razor, I grabbed the razor and tried to like cut myself with it.
Oh.
And so there were like 4 students in there, and like 4 staff, and they like helped take me to the ground. And from there, I got restrained for like 3 hours.
Were you fighting the whole 3 hours though? Were you literally trying to fight to get up, or did they just keep holding you for the whole 3 hours because they felt it, whatever?
So I would say for the first while, I was definitely fighting. They would say stuff like, "Oh, you sure you can handle all this pain and everything?" And I was like, "Yeah, I can handle all you got." And then like after a while, though, I wasn't really fighting. I mean, I would like flinch or like you just readjust on the ground kind of stuff, but. Mm-hmm. I would say like the last hour of it, I wasn't really fighting at all.
That's crazy. So then after they got done restraining you, holding you down, they just pick you up and shave your head, or they shave your head on the ground?
I think that I got up and like kind of went with the program, but they were like, we'll just do it from the ground. So I was like, okay, then I might as well go at this point.
Yeah, after 3 hours, you're like, man, I'm not getting out of this. So
Yeah, this just hurts. Like my arms are bruised, and
yeah.
That's horrible.
Sorry, I just got to plug something real quick.
So you eventually got your head shaven.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Took
And
off
I have like
took off the old luscious locks, huh? Just
yeah, which my hair wasn't that as long as it is now when I was there, but yeah, it was still uncomfortable. And I have a pretty bad hairline, to say the least. So it was like, yeah, they called me the Golden Arches when I was there or whatever.
like
It
I
was
said, leave it
bad.
to the Baptists.
Yeah,
Make fun of you. They don't lead you to God. They make fun of you.
yeah,
Oh, what a bunch of bastards.
yeah.
Anyway, so
So
go ahead.
I was going to say, so just assuming something, since did they know you were trying to cut yourself with the razor, or do they just know that you were resisting? So I'm curious how because then you become a suicide risk and they treat you totally different.
So yeah, I was definitely a suicide risk at that point, just because of what had happened before. Yeah, so like I had been at the hospital for an attempt kind of thing.
Yeah.
That was like one of my main issues, honestly. When I had gotten sent there, I was on meds. I mean, they take you off, but like when I went there, I was on meds.
Mhm.
So I'm pretty sure they knew. Like my parents would have told them. But also, yeah, I think if anybody grabbed the hair razor, they would have probably taken them down.
Exactly. That's what I'm wondering. Like, because
Yeah.
I know when you're on suicide status prior, like back in my day, when you're on
Mhm.
suicide status, like you were like you had no shoes, you were in a bathrobe and your underwear,
Oh
and
yeah.
they wouldn't even give you utensils to use to eat with because you might kill yourself.
Yeah, so after my intake, actually, they put me on scrubs, which is what I guess they call that now. And then
Oh,
so I was
okay.
orange scrubs, which they said wasn't really a thing until I got there. So I
So
kind
what is orange scrubs exactly like from now?
so you don't get to wear regular clothes. You just get like 2 orange t-shirts, and then you get the scrubs, and then you get the prison flip-flops, which are like Bob Barker's, I guess, is what
Mhm.
they were. They're like orange, they're slides. And then you get like
Gee.
Bob
2 pairs
Barkers.
of underwear and a pair of socks, and
Boxers or tidy whities?
they're boxers.
Oh, James, sorry, man.
Man,
Yeah.
shoot. Lucky you, man.
Yeah. Yeah, nobody wants to wear tidy whities anymore.
No, they don't.
no, nobody does. It's gonna
Yeah.
haunt you, James. It's gonna haunt you.
Oh,
Yeah.
shoot. So you're given a guide, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, my guide was a burgundy shirt at the time. He was pretty high up in rank though. Like he was on my intake. I don't remember what his exact rank was, but yeah, he was pretty high up there, and he was rough, but I mean, I got through it, Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't say he was as bad as some of the guys I'd seen there, or honestly, some of the stuff I had done to like some of my kids later on. So, and in that way, I was kind of lucky, I guess.
So if you're only there 4 months, you said, right?
Yeah.
So you had to. I'm assuming you conformed pretty quick. If you get to the point where you like, and within those 4 months, you go from being in
Yeah.
orange scrubs, right, to the point of now you're overseeing kids. Like
Yeah,
what's
so
switched in your head?
I was orange scrubs, which meant I kind of got a longer orientation period because of that. So I was in that for like 2 weeks ish, and then I went to yellow shirt, and I want to say I was only in yellow shirt for like a week, and then I went up to gray, and then like a couple weeks after that went burgundy. So like I moved up the system pretty fast once I figured out like you don't mess with the system. The problem was, I guess when I was in orange scrubs, just like what I went through and everything it was so crazy. I was like, I got to get out of here. Like, I got to get out of these brown workouts and like what they're doing with this system.
Like what? Like going just so because people that watch this, they hear Brown Town, they hear Brown
Yeah.
this, whatever, like, and the workouts, like, the parents are watching this, they probably think, what's the big deal? You're doing some push-ups, maybe running laps, like they think gym class at high school.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so if you don't mind, like, I'm curious, like, if you can give some details on like what, like
Okay.
exactly like what was going on during that time.
Yeah, so when I was there, like I said, I was in scrubs, so I didn't get tennis shoes. I was just wearing flip flops around. And there was a guy named. Are we allowed to use
First
names on
name,
here?
first name only.
First names, yeah.
I feel like this guy, you know by his last name.
Okay.
Or
It's
you can-
Sheldon.
Yeah, we've heard it.
Okay, so
We've heard it quite a bit.
yeah, so that guy was running Browntown, which is the brown shirt, but I was there because I was orange scrubs. And then there was another guy that was an intern named Jason,
Oh,
and he was pretty.
oh.
Yeah.
This guy, not this guy we're talking to
Yeah.
right now,
No,
right?
not you, not you. But yeah, and then
I know it.
Yeah,
I'm a spy. I got you guys.
we had to clarify that because someone's going to say like, "Oh crap, it's this guy. He's working for him."
I've been working for him all along, James. It was just a big.
yeah,
No.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah. So when I was in Brown, what they would do is just really crazy. They had this. They would go out and do all the workouts and everything like normal, but they had this like storm shelter in the basement. And what they would do is it was a concrete reinforced room. It was about, the walls were like 3 feet thick of just concrete. It was about like 8 feet wide, 8 feet tall, and like 40 feet long.
Yeah.
And there were like benches. And they would take us in there, all the brown kids, and then this one staff member, Sheldon, and then the intern Jason would just turn on the lights, and like the kids could just like, they called it cracking, but just punch whoever they wanted in the face kind of thing. So yeah, because of the story of my intake, I was kind of a target for a while. And so, yeah, so like they would go in there like once a day for like half hour, just turn off the lights, let whoever they wanted, like just punch you in the face. And I never knew who it was. Like it could have been students or staff. They just,
Wow.
Yeah.
That's just why. But that's why I'm trying to get more detailed because you know some of these podcasts have been watched and stories have been shared, and but the details are so vague that when they're shared, it's like, oh, like I said, the workouts or the physical abuse or whatever. But like, so I hope you don't mind, but I'm gonna I want to dive in more and like try to extract as much detail as possible. So when the parents watch this, like, wait, like you're telling me my son got sent to this boarding school where I thought he's going to be reformed and fixed, right, and get a good education, but you're getting there, you're doing this Browntown, which is you're not in school, right? You're not in school earning credits. You're doing workouts and you're being put into the storm shelter with a bunch of other kids that are also new there, and they're turning off the lights, and you guys are it's okay to go and just, they're encouraged actually to go and just punch and hit and just take out your aggression on each other, and then they turn the lights back on, and
and they would no
one gets in trouble.
Yeah, they'd flicker it off for like, I don't know, 5 to 10 seconds kind of thing, and then just turn them back on, and then you'd just be sitting there, I guess, to know who your target was kind of thing. But these weren't the new kids necessarily. These were the brown shirts, so like the ones who had like gotten in trouble. So I was the new kid who had this like reputation of being like, oh, he tried to cut himself with an electronic hair razor kind of thing. Yeah. And then these kids, like, who are you going to pick to beat up?
Yeah.
So yeah, I got it really bad. But I remember another kid named Brandon who just would get completely railed on all the time. Like, yeah, like
I mean, are you like bleeding? Like, I mean, imagine people are punching you in the face and stuff like that. Like, are they just trying to bruise you and hurt you, or are they like literally trying to bust a lip?
It was normally like up here, so it was like temple. I never really bled from it. There were a lot of like coming at your kidney too. They would, whatever like hurt the most, but like wouldn't leave a mark or whatever.
Being hit next to the temple, that could kill you if it hits you in the right spot.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, basically they just went for the head, I guess. But like I never got hit in the nose. It was just always like side of the head, back of the head, whatever.
Oh.
Wow. So, gosh. So you're at Agape. You wake up in the morning, like there's Bible reading, right? When you first start off, and like because they have their schedule up, like, and there's work crews and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, so you participate in all that stuff, right? Even though you're brand new. when you got there?
So when I was basically no, like when you're brown, you get the brown food. Like we would go to chapel and everything, but you were mostly separated from the rest of the school most of the time.
Interesting. So like brown food, like
Yeah, it
wheat
was.
bread.
So for breakfast, is these things called like toasted oats or something?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
cardboard in the shape
yeah,
of
exactly.
O's.
Yeah, they're like
Okay.
Cheerios, but with no flavor at all. And then you get two like little cartons of milk to go with that for breakfast, and that was it. And then lunch was these peanut butter sandwiches. And like when I tell you they had like an inch of peanut butter on there, like they put it so that like you were choking on the peanut butter, and then they gave you one glass of water to get all that down. And like I remember like sometimes they make it like hot water just to mess with you, like so like it was just nasty.
You know,
Yeah.
it's nice to see that the parents' money is well spent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, going right
Yeah.
into the accounts of these staff members and owners. That's what we're talking
Well,
about.
Yeah.
and that's the thing that parents they're being told that their kids are going to be getting an education and all this other kind of stuff. But you get there, I think the thing that these parents don't realize when you're there, depending on how you behave, you can go a whole month or more without even touching
Oh
schoolwork,
yeah.
and and then if you misbehave, like you're being sent to school because you misbehave. If you continue to misbehave, now you're being fed cardboard cereal and peanut butter sandwiches and warm water, like and
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
wearing like hand me down apparel, like
Yeah.
uniforms. It's not brand new uniforms that they got just for you with your name on it, and
No, these are like
right?
20 years old.
That costs too much money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Costs too much
Yeah.
money
yeah.
there.
And when I first got there, I didn't have any of the clothes because they just gave me the scrubs. So they had this thing where you had to like request your clothes, like
Request your
on
clothes.
yeah, to like get new jeans or whatever. But I didn't have anything, and they only did it one night a week, and you can only get like one thing. So it took me like forever to get like the full wardrobe. Like I would have no belt, or I would have like I would only have one pair of jeans, and I'd have to wear them like 3 days in a row, or like yeah,
Wow, and you couldn't put them in the laundry because then you don't have them. And then
yeah,
also too, I remember too that like without the belt, a lot of the clothes don't fit right. So I remember
yeah,
kids walking around like hauling rocks, hands full, also trying to hold up their pants while they walk. And they're
oh
also, what I mean, like dude, it's oh man, that
yeah,
irritates me.
yeah. My clothes were like they got me the wrong size clothes, like jeans, and they were just like way too tight, and I just had to wear them because that's all you got. But it was horrible.
They don't call them stranglers for nothing. You know what I mean?
Never heard that one before,
Now,
actually.
this ACE program, I got two things I wanted to say.
Yeah.
First of all, the ACE is complete garbage. It doesn't get
Oh yeah.
transferred. Now,
Nope.
do you still speak with your parents?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I have a really good relationship with my
Okay.
parents.
Did they ever, I don't know if they answered this or not, but when you went in there, did these idiots tell your parents that they are using the ACE program?
From what I can remember, not really. They said that
Okay.
they were doing school and there was like the schoolroom and everything. I don't
Right.
exactly remember what they said.
Okay. So for the parents out there, this ACE program is complete trash. It will not transfer to a public school. If you take your kid out of Agape and you try and put him in a public school,
Yeah.
he's probably going to be 2 or 3 grades behind.
Actually, yeah, about that. So
Yes.
when I
So
came back to
yeah.
school, I was gonna be at Agape. I would have been a sophomore. I did this program, came back, went into public school. I was still a sophomore. None of them counted, and
So
I had to do
yeah,
3 years of high school in 2 years.
to the parents out there, make sure you check on the ACE program. If they tell you it's an ACE program, don't do it. Don't take your kids. Don't even
Yeah,
take your kids to Agape. What the hell am
yeah.
I
Just
saying?
don't do that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just don't do it. Or any
with
program.
yeah,
It seems that it's only the Baptists. The Baptists have this program.
The
I knew about that one
independent,
with
yeah,
Ari. She There was a Catholic program. I don't think they had the ACE, but the Baptist, the Southern Baptist Conference, I think is what it's called. They promote this ACE program. I did it when I was there in 1982. So and it's garbage. Complete waste of time. You're wasting your money.
Yep.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Gabe.
Totally
I'm sorry.
agree.
I had to get that out.
Well, and to dive into what you're saying about it being garbage, like an example, it's basically the paces, the ACE program are these paces to go more detail, which is like think of a really really short magazine,
Yeah.
right? Right,
Yeah.
and it's like and you have 12 paces per subject, right? Like chemistry
per
is 12
subject
paces,
per grade.
right? And so, but inside these paces, it's all like little cartoon characters and stuff and little
Yeah.
this and that, and it's like like math is like Johnny prayed to God because he only had one apple and Johnny wanted a second apple, so Johnny prayed to God and God gave him another
Yeah.
apple. Now how many apples does Johnny have from God? And it's like two. It's like teaching you how to add. It's like these little cartoon characters
Yeah.
and girls in dresses and guys in suits and ties, and it's like,
It makes you wonder who the hell is writing these books. Dr. Seuss. I mean,
Yeah, it's
who is this?
crazy.
I mean, and they
Yeah.
tell you that humans live with dinosaurs. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah. So like, yeah, I was a
Ridiculous.
Christian when I went in there, and like I'm still a Christian now, but what they were teaching was just complete
But I'll tell you
honestly
right. I'll
heresy.
tell you right now, Gabe. The people that are there at Agape, Brian and Julio, those aren't Christians.
Oh no,
right,
yeah,
Those aren't.
Right.
They
they're
call
closer to a
themselves that,
cult
but
than
they are
anything.
not Christians. And
Yeah, I
I'll
always
say it.
call them
I'll
like,
say it right to their face. You
oh
guys
yeah,
are
I
not
would too.
Christians.
yeah. But
I
props to you, man, for going in, knowing you're a Christian and your beliefs, going through all that, and then coming out and still being like, I'm still a Christian. That's
I
not
mean,
what a Christian is. But I'm still me.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
props to you on that.
yeah,
Yeah.
and like I don't like care what other people think, like what they believe about the world and stuff. Like that's up to you and whatever. But yeah, so I went in there, and whenever I was there, they would just try to get me baptized every time, and I'm like, I'm already a Christian. Like I grew up in a Christian family. Like
Right.
they would preach that like I'm not saved and like make me like try to doubt and like try to scare me and everything. I'm just like, this isn't real. Like I know what I believe in my heart, and like you're not going to change my mind. Like I'm saved, and it's cool that you don't think that, but like whatever.
So they didn't believe your personal relation with Jesus Christ and your salvation that you already experienced in your life, right? They
Yeah.
were. I don't get it. Did they think because you got sent to Agape that maybe that salvation wasn't real before? I mean, I don't get, why would you argue with somebody? No, you're not really saved. It's like, how do you know that? It's not like you get a stamp on
Yeah.
your forehead when you get saved or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their whole thing was like I wasn't baptized into the Baptist church, and like I didn't read the King
Oh.
James Bible and everything. And like when I was back home, like I would listen to rock and roll music. I would listen to rock.
The devil's music.
would-
Yes.
Yeah,
Shame on you.
the devil's music.
And you were
yeah.
reading. What version were you reading?
The ESV actually.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, that's the devil's Bible.
Yeah.
The King James version is the only version.
Which actually, I knew that when I went there, that the King James version is corrupted. Like King James himself, it's the most
They're all corrupted.
corrupt Bible.
Yeah, they're all corrupted.
There's been variations of everything, but yeah, that's interesting that you knew that going into it, because
Yeah.
that you mentioning that King James Bible is like not maybe the most accurate version, or has been corrupted. Like that is, you
It
probably
was
get
like
refrained from
heresy
that.
to them. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was like blasphemy. And I went in there, and like I was depressed, right? So I would like ask to see the counselor and everything. And he was this old man named like Tyler. I don't know if you've heard of him. But he
Not
was
heard of
like honestly, he should have retired. He was a retired pastor. And he would just read through these like questions that people had written on the Bible. And like I was actually depressed, and I needed like someone to actually talk to about like issues in my life, right?
Yeah.
And then he would just talk about how like, oh, the King James Bible is the only accurate Bible, and you're not saved unless you get baptized into the Baptist faith, and you shouldn't be wearing shorts because that's not modest, like all this
You're like,
crazy stuff.
I'm depressed, man. I need someone to be there for me. I need to talk to someone. I need to be vulnerable to somebody. It's like,
Yeah, you're just telling me how bad I am.
Shorts are not modest.
Yeah,
Is that
we
what he
weren't
said?
ever allowed to wear shorts whenever we were there unless we were.
you didn't
at
know
the
that,
gym.
Jason?
Well,
You don't wear shorts, do you, Jason?
Oh,
I hope not.
yeah, I do wear shorts. The Daisy Dukes, man. Come on. Yeah. I mean, come on, shorts. What is these guys? I mean, what are these guys deliberately trying to stare at your balls or something? I mean, who cares if you're wearing shorts or not? Who
Yeah.
cares?
Yeah,
I
like
know,
I'm
and
wearing shorts
I'm
right
sorry.
now. I
I'm
don't have
getting a
any
little.
problems
I'm
with
getting a
it.
little upset. You know,
yeah.
this is just really, man. I just.
Well, it in the counseling, like because Agape says, oh, we offer counseling. If your son needs counseling, because parents are wondering, like, is there counselors? Are there certified people there?
Yeah.
And the Agape will say, yeah, we have counselors, and if they need someone to talk to, there's someone there for them to help them through their problems and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
from what you're telling me, Gabe, it sounds like their solution, which they say on their website, is like God and the Bible, which is not bad, but it's like their version of everything, and like there's no real like
Yeah, it's a
talking about
false
your
version of
problems.
the Bible too. Like
Yeah,
But
it's
they
made up. Yeah.
but they fail to understand that every kid is different. They have different issues.
Yeah.
You can't have
yes,
one
Yeah.
counselor, especially a Christian counselor, who knows nothing but the King James Version. That's its only source of therapy
Yeah.
to take care of every kid's problems. You need to go to
Well,
a
yeah, and like
licensed
the
therapist.
degree of like, yeah, reasons why kids got sent there was completely crazy. Like there were kids that got sent there for just, oh, I talked back to my mom one time and she didn't like it. And then there were kids that were like literally in gangs and like had
yeah.
been court
Yeah.
sentenced there. And there was like me who was kind of in between. Like it was like the whole spectrum of everything. And just to have that one kind of counselor was kind of crazy.
Yeah. That's like having a
Yeah,
heart doctor and him working on your kidneys or your
Yeah.
or your
right.
lungs. You need to have someone who's certified, who knows what
Yeah.
they're doing.
Yeah.
Well, and so that's the thing. So once again, for the parents that are going to be watching this, hopefully, so you had depression before you went there.
Hmm.
What can you say? How did Agape help you with your depression, and how, like, what did they do to address it and fix it and get through it?
This is gonna sound really dumb, but the way they addressed it was they took me off all my meds.
So they
They
thought your meds were causing your depression?
they said it was witchcraft or something. So they
The
just
medicine?
yeah, I was on Prozac at the time, which is like depression meds.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they just took me off. No doctor involved at all. It was just this staff member named Scott.
Are you sure he wasn't a doctor?
Oh,
I mean,
He wasn't a
he
doctor,
may have been
no.
a doctor in reflexology.
oh, you're funny. If you read about about the intake and like the Agape manual, the parents handbook, whatever it is, they say that they don't take the kids off of medicine. What they do is they say that they are going to transfer the the um the overseeing of your medicine to a doctor that they work with, a local doctor, and they will assess whether you need to continue on your medicine or not. So you're
Yeah,
telling me that you never, when you were on medicine, you got sent to Agape, you're taking Prozac, you got there, you never went to go see a doctor that said, let's assess you whether you need to continue on this. Agape just took you off of it cold turkey and said, you don't need this anymore. This is witchcraft.
so they weaned me off, so it went down
Okay,
from like, but
that's good
it
to
was,
know.
yeah, but they took every kid off of anything that wasn't completely necessary, like insulin.
Yeah.
So, like, if you were on ADHD meds, they took you off. If you were on anxiety meds, they took you off. Anything.
Well, so not to give Agape credit for anything, but we were always on, like, kids will always talk about, oh, they just took me off. But
Yeah.
you're telling me that they weaned you off, which is actually better than just quitting cold turkey and then wondering why you're behaving bad and then restraining you and beating the crap
Yeah.
out of you. So,
I mean, yeah, the way they weaned me off, though, was they just basically had whatever was left, and then they just would, like, they weaned me off faster than you're really supposed to. So, yeah, it was like a week, and I was off. But, yeah.
oh wow, okay, that's different. And there was no, once again, saying it like beating a dead horse, but there was no medical professional involved with this assessment of you personally and how long you need to be on this medication for, and if it's helping, if it's not helping. It was just determined
Yeah.
that you need to be off it from Agape's point of view.
Yeah, so the staff member, Scott, was like the medical guy, they called him. He had no medical license at all, and he just took you off. Actually, so I've got another story about that actually. So when I had been there for a couple months, we were sitting in the shower bay actually, and another kid had like really wanted to fight me, just because like that's kind of what the culture was there. And so he would like come up to me and say like, "Oh, I had like pictures of my family and stuff," and I was like looking at him, and he was like, "Oh yeah, like I want to fuck your sister," and I was like, "Okay, like cool." That
Trying to
was
get a
out of
rise
nowhere.
out of you. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I was mad obviously, but like I didn't really do much. And so like I moved down into another area. Well, this kid wanted to fight me so bad. He ends up just like knocking me out, punching me, throwing me against the corner of a metal locker. My forehead like right here. I don't know if you can see there's a scar.
Yeah.
Mm.
Right there.
But anyway, yeah, it's kind of like a Harry Potter kind of thing. 14 stitches. I hit the corner of a metal locker, just blood went everywhere. I was out for like a couple minutes. And then I went to the hospital and they got like stitches and everything and fixed it up. And then like made my parents pay for it, of course. And then brought me back. And then whenever it healed, the guy who took me off my meds pulled my stitches out with tweezers.
What? They didn't take you back to the doctor to have them remove them?
No, he just pulled them out himself.
That okay? A few things with that story. One, first off, the fact that you were in a position where a kid could do this to you, because Agape states they have it, they're on record stating that they don't leave students alone. Students are
Mhm.
always supervised by staff members. So, was there a staff member right there that allowed this kid to do what he did to you? Or did he just have his back
Um,
turned, or
there were staff, but not really close enough to see what was happening. Um, and like, I don't know. So there was kind of like two kids involved. Like one kid kind of like held me while the other one did it. Like yeah, I've talked to one of the kids and like we're cool now and stuff. But
yeah?
yeah. So the staff were there, but they weren't really watching, kind of thing. And the
Interesting.
students were supposed to be like watching the other, like the red shirts were supposed to be
Right.
watching. But like, what are you gonna do about another student going after another student if you're a student too? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Something. Well, I mean, that the idea is that something like that my child, if he's at Agape, is being watched by these staff, and things like this aren't happening there because they're being supervised and monitored. But if I
Mhm.
know that my kid's being sent here and staff is kind of supervising, but also it's encouraged for students to beat each other up, and there's this hostile environment there, kind
Mhm.
of changes things.
Oh yeah, there were like so many fights when I got there. They Julio, the dean of students, would almost like encourage it. He had this like inner circle, I would say, of like all the kids that used to be like in gangs and like involved with like drug deals and like hard crime kind of stuff. And
Hmm.
he would like almost encourage them to go after certain kids just because they talked or I remember I had this buddy. I'm sure you've heard stories of this kid named Brandon. But he was a yellow shirt, and when I had made it up to Burgundy, and they gave me him as a buddy. And basically, what they told me was, you're gonna get double points for watching this kid. Like you're gonna rank up twice as fast, but you're gonna make this kid's life a living hell. Like you're gonna push him, you're gonna bump him, you're gonna give him push-ups until he stops talking, and even keep giving him push-ups until he's been quiet. And like you're gonna kick him and everything. And it was just crazy.
But so what? Why Brandon? What did he have? Like a was he just a rebel? Was he like some hard ass? Like what? I don't get
Um,
why this kid.
so this kid was like 2 years older than me. He would talk a lot. Like he had serious problems with like just keeping his mouth shut, kind of thing. And he was
Like
always in trouble because of it.
but I'm wondering, was it a rebellious thing, or was it like maybe a mental thing where he just like the way he was wired in his brain, like he just talked a lot.
I think it was that, to be honest. Like I think he was ADHD, probably a couple other things going on. Um, like obviously they take you off all the meds, so he probably wasn't functioning like normal.
You know,
Um,
Wow.
and
yeah.
to piggyback off of that about the meds, if you saw the podcast with Antonio, the escapee,
Mm-hmm.
He had talked about how he would somehow he was a higher up, a captain or something like that when he before
Mm-hmm.
he left, and he was able to get into some sort of storage area where they kept all these drugs,
Oh wow.
and he was basically bribing the staff with these drugs.
Oh man,
So
that's bad. That's really bad.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
so they have them when they take them from the kids, and maybe when they wean you off, maybe
Yeah.
there are maybe sometimes there are some left. That's
allegedly,
how they have this
yeah.
allegedly
Yeah.
wean you off. Yeah,
Not
they're
allegedly weaned off. Allegedly, these staff members are probably taking these kids off these
oh
drugs and taking it themselves.
Man, yeah.
Allegedly, I mean, it's
that's
just my my theory, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah. I don't think many of them probably have my depression issues, but most of them just seemed
well,
angry.
some of those drugs are narcotics.
Yeah.
right. The Prozac. There's people that take that even though they're not,
Yeah,
they're not
Yeah.
depressed. It's
crush
like
them
a
up.
recreational thing,
Some of them will crush them
Yeah.
up and snort them, and
dude.
Mhm.
But and going back, then the second thing earlier, you said that this guy Scott, the medical guy on
Yeah.
campus, took out your stitches with tweezers. Like
Yeah.
now, I'm that sounds terrible, but I'm wondering if they came to you and said, "Hey, man, like, like, can we just take these out?" And you're like, "Yeah, whatever." Or was this something that was
No.
forced?
It was like just come over here, we're doing it kind of thing.
And you knew if you resisted, you'd probably make your life hell. So you're just like, "I gotta kind
Yeah.
of do it. Like,
I
just
was
get it
like
over
at
with."
that point, yeah. That was like probably near the end of my stay. And I was just like, it's not worth getting demoted for this, you know?
yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's
See,
interesting.
pieces of the puzzle, James. I'm telling you,
Yeah, it's coming together, and it's
coming
like we're
together.
learning with each podcast what questions to ask and like understanding it more. And like, so then you left after 4 months. Most kids are there for a year
Yeah.
minimum, some for multiple years. But you're lucky enough to get after. Like, what? Did you just run away? What
No,
happened?
no, I wish. But so my parents, they're like Christians, you know, and they went in there and they kind of like I would always call them from the phone and ask like you should come visit, you know, like you should come visit, even though I know it was like a 4 month thing. I was
Yeah,
like, you need to come see what's happening, and they were like, oh no, you're making stuff up. And then the like whole stitches thing happened, like I want to say 2.5, 3 months in, and they were like pretty like we want to go see him, and they were like no, and so
wow.
they
they
said
finally
no.
yeah, they wouldn't let them see me until the 4 months. And so my parents eventually came at my 4 month visit, and they just saw like the culture there, like the fights and everything. They saw how the staff were just like berating kids. Just
They
like
they witnessed it because normally when the parents come on campus, everyone has to be in their best behavior, and they only show them certain things. So your parents were able to see this stuff happening.
yeah. So I'd always told them what was going on the phone calls about how like there were always like minor fights and stuff.
Hmm.
Well, some very major fights, but I'd kind of told them what was going on. Like I'd never like attacked anybody, but I had been involved in like someone hitting me kind of stuff. Um, but they saw what was really going on, and I took them into kind of the dining hall on my visit one time, and there was like a little bit of a scuffle going on, and just they saw like the way the staff treated the students and stuff, and they were just like, this is not good. And then all the like the cult like stuff that was going on with the church, like they went to their church service and they were like, this isn't Christianity, this is not what we believe, like
It's a
this is
cult.
crazy.
It's a cult.
Wow.
Yeah, they were like, this is completely a cult. And so I would say about yeah, so that was the first week of December in 2017. And then they wanted to pull me out then, but they like didn't know like would they get in trouble kind of thing. So
Would they get in trouble? You mean by from Agape or like legal
yeah,
trouble?
they said they were like scared of Agape, like making them pay or like holding me or making my like holding me and then making it worse for me.
Gosh.
So yeah, they planned to bring me home. They were supposed to do like a Christmas visit, and they planned to bring me home 2 days before Christmas. I didn't know about the plan. Like they were sure not to tell me so that I didn't like tell anyone and
Yeah.
then like blow their whole cover. And they kind of heard about the police stuff, how like Agape has ends with the police. And so they were like, we thought about calling the police to come and get you, and they were like, that would just make it worse.
Yeah.
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 And so they kind of snuck down 2 days before Christmas and just picked me up. Yeah.
So they just walked in and said, "Hey, we're leaving." I'm assuming they had to go through the office, talk to Ma'am, Brother Clemenson, like to get you. They probably, I doubt they could just walk in the dorms and say, "Let's go." Or is that what happened?
So there was this staff member named Charlie. They sent him an email the night before and basically said like, we're coming to get him, and then just showed up. And they were like kind of prepared to fight kind of thing, like legally. And then they said that they like Agape tried to make them pay like some fine for pulling me out before a year. And they were like, we're not going to pay that or anything. So they never did, but they definitely threatened them with it and stuff.
So you get that, Jason. The parents wanted to get their kids out of the school, take their kid back before the year is up, and Agape is trying to charge them money, additional money to that.
It was like $3,500, I think.
And of course, threatens them, which obviously it's an empty threat. So I mean, because they don't want to lose money either. They're in the business of making money. They're not in the business of losing it.
Yeah.
So
they're making money for just themselves. And
all boils down to money. Just like I've always said, all boils down to money.
And they never spent it on us. That was the crazy thing.
I mean, that's expensive. Right. That's some expensive peanut butter they were buying.
Yeah, I mean? That's exactly. So you get there. Yeah, there's electricity. There's this and that, whatever. But for you personally, you get there. You're being given clothes that have been worn by God knows how many other students before you. So you're not getting new clothes. So that's not paid for. Your food is like bottom of the barrel cereal and peanut butter sandwiches. Like, so it's like the money's not going there. So you figure if they're paying, say, $3,500 a month, $4,000 a month, like that's pocketed money for them. So
and they had all these like exotic animals whenever I was there, and that was like their. They had zebras and alpacas and all that.
Water buffalo and like
that's what they spent all the money on, to be honest.
Well, and of course the staff members, like James, when you were there, you were a staff member. They didn't pay you shit. You know what I mean?
No,
they paid you peanuts.
Like maybe I think it was like $150 a month or something like that, or $300 a month or something.
Oh, I'm sure no health insurance. Ridiculous. No health insurance.
No health insurance. But their thing was that we're providing you room and board because you're living with the students and you're not having to pay for food or utilities or nothing. So, and going from being a Agape student to getting $300 and being able to like cook your own food in your dorm at night and like it was like, man, it was a luxury. But that's
how you gonna get your teeth clean? You just gonna chew on your bedpost or something or what? I mean, you got to go to the dentist and you got to get checkups.
I never did any of that when I was there.
Yeah. There's no dentist. Like, I mean, optometrist. Yeah. So I remember
even like my glasses broke when I was there, and my contacts ran out, and they never took me to get my eyes checked.
Oh.
So
you're a flight risk. Like they just like take care of you, and give you what you need as far as like your glasses or stuff. Make sure but if you're gonna run, then. I remember
this was past that because I was
really?
Yeah.
And they still weren't.
Yeah, my parents even called. They're like, his glasses are broken. His contacts are expired. He's wearing them, but they're expired. He's going to get an eye infection. You need to take him to the eye doctor. And they were like, we'll schedule it. And they never did.
This is, oh man, dude. I like all that. You get out, your parents come and get you. That's awesome. And I think you mentioned this before, like you started the podcast. So I think you said this, that you have a good relationship with your parents.
Yeah.
Like, things are good right now.
I still live at home, actually. I'm in, I graduated high school over the summer because I was 15 when I was at Agape. Like I said, I had to do 3 years of high school in 2 years. Had to take summer school a couple times because I was behind from Agape. And then now, I'm a freshman in college, living at home, just doing online class. Yeah, we're all happy, like Christian, like everything's pretty good, honestly.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's great. And so, and your parents, if you can answer this, if you can't, don't worry. But like, how do they, after all this time, how do they feel about Agape? Do they think, man, like after the those 4 months did you good, and we're glad we sent you, or what? Like, what's their
Yeah.
take on it?
They realized what was going on, and like when they pulled me out, the first thing I did was got like 6 months of like pretty intense counseling, like therapy, just from
Really?
like completely outside the family, just outside licensed counselor. We did that for like, honestly, I came back in December. We did that through like June of the next year. And it was like once a week, like I would go in and just talk like what I went through, like what I was feeling. And like
Wow.
that was really helpful.
Something that should have happened and not taken you to Agape to do.
Yeah.
Just saying that.
Or something that Agape says that they provide, because they say they provide
Yeah.
counseling, they provide these things like so you weren't getting that help there in the 4 months, and you come out and yeah, that's
Yeah.
sucks. You had
Yeah.
to go through that for but I'm glad that you came out good on the other side, like, and you have a
Yeah.
good relationship with your family and you're doing good.
And I can honestly say, Gabe, as a parent myself, we make mistakes.
Oh yeah.
So it's not
They didn't
silly.
know what they were getting
Yeah,
into.
you can't hold it over their heads forever, and just
Yeah.
let it go and let Agape's going to get what they deserve. They're going to
Yeah.
eventually. I mean, look what happened to Circle of Hope.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. The more of these podcasts come out,
Yeah.
the closer they're going to be getting to their own demise. So,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And the more stories the more stories are shared, and it's like, even though you were there only 4 months, you witnessed a lot, and a lot happened in those 4 months.
Yeah.
And like there's going to be a parent that has a kid that maybe is suffering from depression, or has maybe been in an institution, and now they're going to hear this podcast about what you went through,
Mhm.
and it's not like you're anti-religion, you're
No.
Christian,
Yeah, like
so
I'm
like,
still a Christian to this day. Like, yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And that, to me, that Jason, that's what's crazy, is that the Christian family, my family is Christian too, like sending them to Agape thinking they're going to get this religious influence, this Christian influence, but then really it's not that. And even a Christian family went to Agape, saw what's going on, saw the church services there, and was like, oh my gosh, I need to get my son out of this, because this
Yeah.
is not Christian.
Yeah.
I mean, thank goodness it wasn't too late. I mean, it may have been 4 or 6 months or whatever, but I mean, what if it was
Yeah.
a year or two? It really would have
Yeah.
damaged you psychologically.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I still get like every once in a while I have like a nightmare, like I get sent back there. Like I'm 18 now. They can't send me back, but like I don't know. It's weird. It's really weird.
Dude, I know what you mean, because I'm 37 now. It's been I left Agape when I was 19, right?
Mhm.
And I still, up until, it's been probably about maybe a year or two since I've had that dream. But I would have that, not to sound bad, but then again, I was at Agape 4 years instead of 4 months, But those dreams, like, it's not weird, and it's normal. It's sad, but that's normal. Like, having those, it's a nightmare. It's not a dream, in my opinion. You have this nightmare that you have no control. You can't talk to anyone. You can't say anything. You're stuck back at Agape. It's like that, dude. That's like the worst. I can't think of a worse feeling.
PTSD, man, is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the place was just like the feeling of being in there itself was just so crazy because you couldn't talk to anybody. Like there was no outside contact. Like you could write letters to your parents, but if you said something that Agape didn't like, it was going in the trash.
Yeah.
Or they would read it and bring you into the office and like berate you about it for like a half hour. And like, so if you just didn't write letters, that was just the deal. And then, the phone calls were like every 2 weeks. And I remember just like bawling my eyes out every time. Like, this is so horrible. You don't even understand. Like,
did they screen the calls too?
Yeah, I'm surprised you were able to do that, dude.
Yeah, so I was like quiet, but like I was always crying and like just a mess. And they listened to your calls. Definitely the first one they listened like live, and then afterwards they record them so they can always go back and listen to them. I remember multiple times like getting talked to later in the night by like Julio or something, because my parents would like call afterwards and like talk about our call and everything, and then he would talk to them for like an hour about the 15-minute call that I got with my parents. and like reassure them I was lying. It's just crazy.
Wow. Dude, props to your parents though, man, to be honest with you, because that Agape does that. They damage that child-parent relationship and get the parents not believing the child. The
Yeah.
child's lying, the child's not telling the truth. Don't believe him, you know. And the parents start believing that the child's always lying to them, and it ruins that relationship. So props to your parents if they're watching
Yeah.
this, for not letting that happen and actually believing you and realizing that you were telling the truth and taking action on it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think they didn't really believe me at first, which is what was crazy. Was they had their staff that would always talk to the parents and be like, "No, everything's fine. You know, he's just a troubled kid, getting in a couple fights. You know, might get in some skirmishes. He might get disciplined, but you know that's what we expect because he's just a bad kid, kind of thing." And I think eventually, once they finally got in there and saw what it was like, and I mean, going to the hospital and getting stitches didn't help either.
Right.
They finally realized that I wasn't lying and like I wasn't making stuff up.
I'm
And,
amazed
like, Agape was.
I'm amazed they made your parents pay for it. With the money they were paying Agape should have paid for it.
Oh
Right.
yeah, yeah,
Man.
They're vampires, James. Just drain
Yeah.
you out of money, everything.
yeah. And the kids like took care of the whole school. Like I would be on these work crews and we'd like clean out the toilets and like we'd fix the lights. Like we did all that for the school. They didn't even have those expenses. Like, yeah,
It's not like they were hiring a maintenance crew to do
no, like
cleaning or
that
do
was us.
Right.
Yeah.
You guys were maintaining the grounds. You guys were, and they considered a work crews, right? Like manual
Yeah.
labor, like, you know, teaching work ethic and stuff like that. But really, you're keeping their expenses low, so they don't need to hire a janitor. You know,
And
because
there were like mandatory, like you had to go on a work crew on Saturdays. And then also they could just take you out of school anytime. So I remember like sometimes I would be up like 4 days a week just working, you know.
wow.
But
'Cause
also,
if you're a good worker, they would just take you, huh?
yeah, because they were like, "Oh, you're the best toilet cleaner." And I was like, "Come on!" Like, I remember like shaving. Like the guys would have their electronic razors, and they would like always shave their pubes right onto the toilet, and I would have to like. I was the best toilet cleaner, and that was my job. Like,
Oh, that face,
Wow.
James. That face.
Wow. Jeez. That
Manscaping, James. It's called manscaping.
manscaping. Yeah,
Manscaping.
that's what you learn there. You get out, you apply for a job somewhere, and be like, so what kind of work experience do you have? I cleaned up pubes for about a year at a boarding school off the toilet seats. You know, like
it was
I've always-
nasty.
I've always had to wonder what it would be like. I kind of put myself sometimes in the position of some of these, guys that have been there, and what would have
Yeah.
been my first response, And
Yeah.
being they're Baptists, I know exactly how they operate,
yeah.
Brother, do you know Jesus? Do you know where you're going to go when you die?
Oh yeah.
But if they said, do you know Jesus? Like, yeah, I know Jesus. He mows my lawn.
Oh.
Called Jesus, but I'd probably get thrown on the floor for that one. But
I made the
Yeah.
mistake before mispronouncing it. Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
oh my gosh,
yeah,
that's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Were did they have any bathrooms outside? Or was it just inside, or porta potties, or anything like that?
I don't remember much outside. There was like the rodeo, like they built this amphitheater kind of thing, and there was like some there, but there wasn't much outside. Like when we were outside doing the workouts and stuff, you didn't go to the restroom, you didn't get a drink until like you just went inside,
Oh, so
we
you
were-
couldn't just raise your hand and say, "I got to go to the bathroom." Whenever you have to
No,
go, it's up to them when you go to the bathroom.
Yeah, yeah. And
Kinda-
like getting a drink, it was like they would go like one time in the morning and one time in the afternoon. And you would all stand at attention, like there were these squares in the dining hall. And you would be in one square, your whole body had to fit in this tile square at attention. And then you'd be like one square apart behind everybody. They would call like, go drink. And then you get like, rush up to the water fountain, get like 3 seconds, and then you got to go to the back of the line. And it was just, yeah, it's horrible.
Well, the thing is, James, you don't have to go to the bathroom if you're dehydrated.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's a good point. And yeah, and if
dehydration is dangerous.
Yeah.
Very much, especially in
Yes.
Missouri, man. The humidity in the summer there is
Heat
like
stroke.
Oh my
it's,
gosh, yeah.
Oh yeah,
it's gnarly.
yeah.
Well, and so now, hypothetically speaking, because I doubt anyone would ever do this, but say you're at the water fountain. Did a kid ever take more than 3 seconds and like just keep drinking water because he was so thirsty? And if so, what happened?
I remember like going one, like not even a second over. Like he called it and I finished the drink and I got yelled at. So like they might put you in self-restraint, to be honest, and then go from there. But like self-restraint was just a big like myth. Like I actually have a story about that. So when I got there and I was in Browntown, they used to line you up in the hallways and do these things called dead legs. I'm not sure if you're familiar with what that is.
No.
So it's where they would thrust their knee into the inside of your thigh.
What? Like
Yeah,
just like
so-
like knee you?
Like, yeah, they like kind of like hold you like sideways, thrust the like hard part of their knee, like where your elbow would be on your arm, into
Yeah.
like the bone of your thigh on the outside. So your
Oh,
leg
geez.
would go dead.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, one day Sheldon was doing that. He lined us up and was like giving every kid a dead leg. And I was like, he tried to do it to me. I just like jumped out of the way. And then I remember the intern Jason just going after me. And then I started like taking off, like running, just running. Like I ran into the gym where the track is and I just started running around the track. And,
They're chasing you, or they're just watching you do this?
No, so this one guy is like chasing me and I'm like running. And I realized that like, okay, I'm not going to outrun this guy forever. He's like, I don't know how, like 6'5" or something. I was like pretty short and small then. And so he was like getting self-restraint. So you get in self-restraint. That's like your hands behind your back, like held together like this.
Mhm.
And then your face down, your hands are held behind your back, and then your legs are crossed. So you can't do anything. And then from there, he took my arms and like pulled them up over my head. Like, so like they were like inside out, like
Yeah.
up here.
Jeez. Yeah.
Yeah. And he held it there for like a couple minutes. And like, yeah, it was just crazy.
I'm assuming that hurt.
Yeah, it was brutal.
Yeah.
It was like the worst kind
Yeah,
of yoga.
that's used for like submission. Yeah,
Yeah.
police use that type of move, but they don't
Yeah.
they don't have it on there for minutes. They just a couple of seconds to get you to the car. You know.
Yeah. And this was just because they didn't like me or whatever. They were dead legging me and I dodged it, you know?
Yeah. And it was staff deadly you, right? Just
Yeah.
making sure we
It was
got
the
this right.
staff Sheldon. Yeah.
So staff was lining you up against the wall. They have you stand there, and they come to each of you,
It
and
was
they
like
knee.
they were standing there, and as you would like march by them, they would just do it.
But then so getting a dead leg and trying to walk afterwards is not easy. So if you
No.
fell down, you fell on the ground, like were there more repercussions for that, or did you have to keep marching even after you got the dead leg?
Yeah, it kind of made you keep marching. I remember it would like your leg would go kind of numb for a couple minutes, like dead. It was a good name, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dead
Right.
leg. But so that's what I just like in terms of like the self-restraint, that was just a way to get you on the ground so that they didn't have to do it the hard way. Like I saw kids get full on restrained from self-restraint. Like it was
So you're that's the thing that doesn't make sense. So you're complying. Them restraining you is you not complying to what's going on, and they're protecting you from hurting yourself or hurting others. So they restrain you on the ground. But if they say self-restrain yourself, you get down. You're coherent. You're not out of control. You're on the ground laying down, and then for them to advance that restraint, like that to me seems wrong. You're complying. You're not doing anything wrong. You're not harm.
like you're restrained. You're not going anywhere if your arms are held behind your back and your feet are crossed. Like even if they tell you to get up, it's going to take you 10 seconds, kind of like
Right.
Yeah.
James,
But for them,
they're sadists. They take absolute
that's what I'm trying.
pleasure in that.
That's what I'm trying to get out of this. Is like these they say when they talk about these restraints and they're defending and everything, they're like, oh, they're out of control. These kids are just unruly, and we're trying to help them. We're trying to keep them safe from hurting themselves. But right here, Gabe's like, dude, I didn't want to get kneed in the leg from a staff member when I wasn't doing anything wrong and get a dead leg, so I flinched from it, and then they started coming after me. I ran away from them, running laps inside the gym. sounds more like a punishment for you, anyways.
Yeah,
And
well,
then,
running away from them kind of thing. Yeah, like I was just
yeah,
running around the track, like trying to not let this staff catch up to me.
and then finally he gets you and says, "Get in self restraint. You obey. You get down.
Yeah,
Everything's fine." And then he to punish you by using this maneuver with your arm. It's like
yeah,
it
Oh my goodness.
yeah,
sucks. Sorry,
yeah,
and I hate to keep like regurgitating what you're saying in more detail, but I just want people that are watching this to understand that it's like that this is
yeah,
what's happening, and this was just 2017. This wasn't like
yeah,
2001.
yeah. Like I haven't even been out 3 years yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this podcast could save some kid's life one day, you know.
Oh
100%.
yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, because like the restraint techniques they use, I don't know. Like over the summer, like the racial stuff that was going on, like the knee on the back of the head kind of thing. That was
Yeah.
one that I saw like in use there. Like,
Wow.
yeah, it was bad. Like they just did whatever it took to like pressure points, anything that hurt, you know?
Wow. And once again, they will say that the reason they did that is because the kids are out of control and they're unruly and they
Yeah,
were a danger. So we had to do this. We had to get them to chill. But
yeah,
dude, it and to what you just said right now too, Jason. Yeah, this could save some kids' lives. Some parents watch
yeah,
this realize, is Agape killing kids? No, they're not murdering kids there, but the kids that get out of there and have these psychological issues throughout their life, they end up committing suicide, struggling with depression, whatever it is from there. Yeah, they could potentially end up dying from this.
Well,
Down the road.
Agape hasn't killed anybody yet.
No,
yeah,
right,
They keep that stuff up. Eventually, maybe accidentally, well, maybe not, but someone's going to get hurt severely. Either they're going to
yeah,
be in a wheelchair, they're going to
yeah,
be in a coma, something's going to happen, and they keep using these restraints like this,
yeah.
especially on somebody who is compliant.
yeah.
If
Mhm.
it's just they're just standing there and you just tackle them and restrict, no,
Just
no,
because
no,
you're
no,
mad.
no. Yeah,
Hey,
Yeah,
no, that's criminal. That is criminal right there, man.
yeah. Yeah, I remember just kids would walk around with just like broken wrists were like a normal thing there. Like you just see like, oh, so and so broke the wrist. Like how'd they do it? Oh, they got restrained. Like, oh, they got in a fight. Like, yeah,
You know,
it's crazy.
parents that are when they watch this, they need to see the medical reports. I wonder if Agape
jeez.
has copies of these medical reports. I mean, they're paying for the, to have.
Right,
My
but
parents might have it from when I went to the
I think
hospital,
that they
honestly.
would have the right to see those medical reports for their kid. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
but
Yeah,
they say that I don't know who this medical person is, but they say in their parent handbook that they work with a local doctor, and that doctor, is like works with Agape, and that's their go-to doctor. So,
I
I
think he
mean,
was like a chiropractor, honestly. And he,
Tell you, reflexology, chiropractor, it's all cryptozoology, man.
yeah, I don't. He was never there though. I heard the name. I heard that he was. Oh, I remember the name. I only remember the last name to be honest, so I'm not gonna say it. But yeah, I think he was just like a chiropractor or something.
wow, because I'm wondering like if these kids are breaking bones or even from restraints things are happening because that there were a
I
few
mean, they
times where
take you to the hospital, but yeah,
they
like
just
how'd
say,
you
oh,
break
you
your
just
arm?
right, exactly. It's like
Like,
typical abuse story. It's like, oh, I fell down the stairs or whatever it may be.
yeah, they said like whenever my thing happened, they were like, oh yeah, he's just a bad kid, did something stupid, or I don't remember what they said, but like, yeah, it's just like 14 stitches don't just happen.
Yeah.
Like you don't
Right.
fall over and get 14 stitches.
Well, I'll tell
Yeah,
you,
because you're a
Gabe.
bad kid.
I'll tell you, Gabe. If your parents do have copies of those medical records, tell them to save them
Hmm.
because you never know when you're going to need them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I encourage the parents that when they're watching this, ask for medical records. I'm serious. I mean, if they're paying for that bill, they
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
the right to see those records.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure if they do have those or not. I know they did have to pay for it though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if they have to pay for them, then they have the right to see them. If
Yeah,
Yeah.
Agape,
receipts or something.
yeah, something.
Yeah, the medical stuff was crazy when I was there. Like there was this kid who always had like seizures. He slept next to me for a while, and I remember like one night just waking up and he was like covered in blood. Like he had a seizure, and they just kind of like let him have a seizure. Like they didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah. There's a guy there. Same thing when I was there too. He has a kid, a young kid. I think he was maybe like 11 years old or 12 or something. And he would have seizures, and like same thing. They would just let him have it, whatever. And it was like just and told all of us like leave him alone. If he's having them, just let him have it. If he would have seizures, like he'd be in the boot camp. What we called boot camp, which sounds like Browntown now. And like he would just be doing a workout and just have a seizure in the middle of doing the workout.
Oh my
and
gosh.
like sometimes they thought he was faking it, and they're like, "Get up! What are you doing?" And screaming at him, like, "What are you doing? Get up!" And he's like having a seizure, and it's like, and
How
like
do you fake a seizure?
I know, like you're faking it. You're just trying to get out of the workout. Come on! It's like, what the freaking heck, man? Like, I dude, that's sad. I'm sorry to hear that that kid, like that's just stuff breaks my heart, man.
Yeah, it's like one of the most idiotic things I've ever heard. Like someone's faking a seizure. Like, how do you fake a seizure and make it look real?
And the thing is, you said at the beginning, Gabe, that they didn't take away the necessary medicine like insulin.
Yeah.
Well, medication for seizures is something that the kid needs, or else he'll have seizure. Oh, I'm sorry.
I know this kid, for the one I'm talking about. They just for the record, they from what I remember, they allowed him to keep taking his medicine. He would go up and take medicine for whatever he needs to. So they didn't take him off that. But
I don't know about this kid that I'm talking about, but I just know like he had multiple, and one of them was like bloody next to me because I was sleeping in the front of the room because I was on suicide watch, and he was the bed next to me, like fell like right next to my bed, and I like woke up to it basically like a puddle of blood on the floor and was like, whoa. Yeah.
Probably chewed on his tongue or something.
Probably, yeah.
Man, it's crazy, dude.
Oh,
man.
Yeah.
That's wild, dude. This is I mean, you've had a lot of good interviews, Jason, but this has been very insightful, Gabe. I appreciate the details and everything, dude. Like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not fun to talk about all this, but I guess like if one person hears it, if one parent changes their mind about sending a kid, it's all worth it, Yeah,
definitely.
I feel you on that, 100%. Just that one, and so, and there might end up being comments and stuff from parents, once Jason posts it on his YouTube. So I'm curious to see what happens. But
you can post it on your TikTok as well. And we'll have James and Colton also put it on the TikTok as.
Yeah.
And if you want to do that as well, Gabe, you can.
Okay. Yeah. So because I'm helping run the Instagram page. Exposing Agape.
Page?
Okay. I didn't know about Instagram.
That thing is picking up, Jason. A lot of the guys I've sent over to you that want to do the interviews.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many have come from that because they're tagging me on Instagram saying, "Hey, if you're interested in telling your story," and like thanks for doing that, Gabe. Because a lot of these guys are reaching out to me saying, "Hey, dude, I'd love to come on the podcast." So that's where this influx of guys have come from recently is Instagram and the page they're running.
Yeah, honestly, that's all Mac, to be honest. Like, I started the page just because I was feeling like, I don't know. I was feeling weird one day and was like, let's just start an Exposing Agape page. And then I pretty soon realized, like, I was in over my head. And, like, I needed someone to help me. And, like, Mac was the perfect guy. And he's been awesome. Like he's really the one posting anymore, and he's like doing most of it. Like I'll respond to DMs or stuff, but
well,
he's doing a great job.
If you can, after the podcast, send me the link so I can put it in the description.
Okay, yeah.
That way it's on there. And if any of you guys know the link to the TikTok for the Exposing Agape, if you guys could send me that as well.
Yeah, I think I have that too. I can send you that.
Yeah, that we can put that on the description as well. So it's to tell you the truth, guys. It's this one has really kind of upset me a little bit.
Yeah,
really?
I mean, it wasn't you, Gabe. It was just I mean, just the
don't feel bad. Yeah,
stupidity, ignorance. Not just with Agape, but with some parents as well. And like I said, I don't fault the parents that much.
Yeah.
But like I said, we make mistakes.
Yeah, and they lie to him too. Like
Yeah,
they do
and they're lied
brainwash
to.
him. Like,
So, I would say that there would be ignorance on their part,
hmm
not stupidity. It would be stupidity on Agape's part, and of course for lying to them too, lying to their
yeah,
parents.
just funny because isn't that like one of the 10 Commandments? Like, don't lie. Anyway,
Thou
Yeah,
shalt not lie. Yeah,
or
yeah.
something like that. I don't know. There was like
But
33 commandments down, whittled down to 10 or something like that. So
don't get a tattoo was one when I was there.
yeah,
right, and don't
yeah,
rock music like.
Yeah,
But I think that's the thing too, from their point of view, is that being a cult, because I want to refer to
hmm
them as a cult because that's what they
yeah,
are.
I
It's,
agree.
from their point of view, none of this stuff is wrong. To deceiving the parents and saying, but from their point of view, there is no. From Agape's point of view, there is no abuse. If you talk to them, we're not abusing kids. None of that. Oh,
no,
this and that. If they watch this and what happened? Yeah, like, they got rough with him and he got stitches. And
Yeah,
we took him out. Like, in their mind, they're not. It sounds like they don't believe they're doing anything wrong. And the stuff that they are doing, that we're just like, this is blatantly wrong. They're like, not
yeah,
really. We're doing God's will. No,
yeah.
you're not.
This is a ministry of the church. Like,
Yes.
yeah.
it all started with Lester Roloff. I'll tell you.
Oh yeah, I've read about him.
You've read about
Yeah.
him. I was at the farm, his farm.
Really?
Yes,
Wow.
that's how I got started on all this.
Okay.
I wasn't at the
Yeah.
home. I was at the school, but still, I
Yeah.
saw the emptiness, the soulless eyes. You know what I mean? Of some of those girls that were there.
They loved Agape, or Agape loved him.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they worshipped him, man. All these
Yeah.
places worship him. And I did that podcast with Austin. I don't know if you saw that one yet.
Um, I might have. I don't remember.
He
I've
he
seen a
went, he,
couple of them.
he didn't go to a home, but he did some research on some
Okay.
of the homes. He went to a fundamentalist college, and got access to archives and newspaper clippings about these homes back in the day, how it all started.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
yeah, and he said he kind of puts Lester Roloff in the same realm as Jim Jones. And
Oh
I'm
wow.
like I never saw the I don't know what's the word, the similarity. I
Correlation.
never saw the similarity to that.
Yeah.
But he said, Lester Roloff's church was called the People's Baptist Church,
Really?
right? Jim Jones's church was called the People's Temple. I'm like, okay, that's
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. The only thing they didn't have was a Kool-Aid, but he had his followers, his minions, people that worshipped him. Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to do some
Jeez.
research on that. I'm
Yeah.
not too well versed in Jim Jones, but I'm gonna do some
That's
research on that.
interesting.
Yeah, it is. It is. So, but
It's wild.
yeah, it is. So let's go ahead and end the podcast. Thanks,
All
Gabe, for
right.
coming on. Appreciate it.
Oh,
Yeah. Seriously,
thanks so
bro.
much for having me.
Yes, it
Man.
was very informative. You
Yeah.
got my number.
Thanks
You got
for.
James's number. You can get a hold of
Yeah.
us. So if you think of anything
Yeah.
else, or whatever.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
Thanks for joining in and helping out, James, and thank you for having me. Yeah.
you're welcome.
For sure, man.
And
Yeah,
once
dude.
again-
It's
Once
Good.
again, I want to give James props for helping me get some of these guys on here. So
Dude,
I
dude,
appreciate it, man.
for sure, man. I feel like, yeah, it's just like Gabe said. If we prevent one kid from going there and having to go through this stuff, like, feels like a victory,
Yeah.
But the goal is obviously to prevent many more than that.
Oh
but
yeah. Yeah.
it's happening. Like, you hear about the parents that see this stuff and they decide not to send their kid, and it's like it just feels so good.
Yeah.
It feels so good.
Except for
So,
that one
thank you.
guy I saw the comments to, and of course, how conveniently he deleted them. But
Oh,
my
yeah,
cat,
that's a
my,
whole,
my cat-like reflexes. As soon as I saw him, I screenshotted him. So,
yeah, that's a whole that was another thing, Gabe. Like, some guy came on and was commenting about how great Agape is and how it's like
saved his
he had his
son's
son
life and everything. Yeah,
saved his son's life or something like that, and like and like how all this is BS, and you can't,
yeah,
like, what
Yeah.
all these kids are saying, all these negative things about the school, and none of them are. We couldn't prove them, and all this other stuff. It's like,
yeah,
okay, and I think Jay said it perfectly. you said, so something like along the lines, just so you can't prove child abuse is happening, or can't prove it's happening, like with like actual facts, doesn't mean it's not happening.
Yeah.
Like just because you can't prove it, and you don't have evidence, and because the guy's like, show me evidence and show this, that, because you don't have any of this stuff, and it's like, yeah, we don't have evidence, but just because you don't have evidence that some kid's being abused doesn't mean it's not happening.
Yeah.
Like, that's stupid.
I mean, does he think that all these guys that came on this podcast for Agape just got into a big circle one day and decided this is what we're going to say?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Like, I hadn't talked to anybody since I left there until honestly, like a couple months ago.
And like I said, some of the guys that were there in 91, like Todd, are saying the exact same story. You know what I mean?
Right.
Wow. Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's 27 years before I was there. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is it's still operating. Like, that's the thing that's a trip. Like, you watch these, you hear from these guys from way back then. It's the same stuff happening, different types of restraints, different staff members doing different stuff, but it still is like abuse, and they've gotten so good at hiding it over the years, and that, but it not for much longer.
They hide all this abuse under the cloak of religion, is what they do.
Yeah, which gives a religion such a bad name.
Yes, it does. It gives a bad name to the people who are actually trying to do right.
Yeah.
I mean, even I'm sure, and I'm sure even some of the staff members were, trying to help these kids. I mean, I'm sure not all the staff members were sadistic.
Oh yeah,
fools.
There were some really nice guys there that wouldn't abuse you. Like, we're legitimately there to help, but those guys always ended up leaving.
Yep, and but it was all overshadowed by Brian and his entourage of minions.
Julio and all of them.
Dying to figure out what clown college his doctor went to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting thing to figure out. Like, who is this doctor? And like, I'm still baffled about how you're talking about how the medicine when you first got there and how they weaned you off it, and just that whole thing, like that medical aspect, it is so interesting. I cannot believe.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was honestly like a couple steps away from suicidal at that point. Like, yeah, not that I'm proud of that, but like. A good spot, yeah.
Right, it's a thing, and knowing that, because I'm sure there's other parents that are out there that have kids, because I'm suicidal too. Like, when I went there, I had cuts on my arm and my wrist, and like I tried to kill myself. That no one really knew about it. I was more like hush hush about it, but but they're being there. Like, there was nothing. If you came out and said I'm suicidal, or having suicidal thoughts, like there's no support.
People found out, and then they made your life hell. Like,
right,
they're like, "Fuck you, dude."
Suicidal. Yeah.
And it's like, and the thing is, they didn't even have the right equipment. If you got somebody who's suicidal, you don't give them scrubs, for one thing.
Yeah,
because they could use the legs tied to their neck. That's why a lot of prisons have those tear-proof gowns. You know what I mean? So you can't try to hang yourself or whatever. But they give you scrubs? It's the worst thing to give you.
Yeah, there were kids that, like, I remember stories of kids that would, like, try to hang themselves with their belts and stuff when I was there. Like, yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
I remember, honestly, I thought about it. And I got caught, like, taking my belt off one time. Like, it was stupid, but, stuff like that happened for sure.
But the thing is that you're already depressed, but you're there. But some of the kids that they think the only way they're going to get out of that place, it's so bad that they think they're better off dead than continuing at Agape and going through the program. This religious. I don't know anyone that would rather kill themselves than go to church. You know what I mean? Like, in the real world, like, someone's committing suicide because they don't want to go to church because church is so bad.
Yeah,
it's like you have kids at this boarding school that, over all the years, that they've wanted to or attempted suicide or whatever just to get out of the program, just to end it. And it's like, how is this helping kids if they're willing to want to do that to themselves?
Yeah, it's beyond me, man.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Anyway,
man.
So like I said, thank you, James, for being here and helping out. Thanks, Gabe. And also a big shout out to Colton Schrag, the TikTok, Amanda Householder, Janine Miller, all helping with the cause, and Jay Frazier, of course.
Yeah, dude rocks.
He's been a big help too.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
so let me go ahead and end the podcast and just stay on for a few seconds, okay, guys?
Okay.
So, this is a Hammer podcast. If you just watch it for the first time, please subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up. Helps get the video circulated around YouTube. Puts it in a most suggested box or something like that. So, anyway, for the Hammer podcast, I'm Jason. You take care of yourself. Take care of each other. You guys. Right.